What's going on, people? Have you ever went through a spiritual awakening, or did you recently go through one? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you some of the things that you will go through after a spiritual awakening. Now, I know these things from experience. I went through my spiritual awakening in 2019. I'll get into that just a little bit later. Now, if you want to invoke a spiritual awakening, I'm also going to tell you how to invoke one at the end of this video. So make sure you stay tuned, people. Now, one of the first things that you will go through after a spiritual awakening, you will start to gain clarity. And what I mean by this, you will start to take your priorities much more serious. Before you were just maybe partying and just hanging around, but now you really truly want to accomplish and get all your priorities done. And all of these priorities are going to help you in the long run when it comes to life. Now, one of the second things that you will go through after a spiritual awakening, you'll start to find purpose in life. You'll start to do things that have purpose to them, which something that it may be a hobby. It may be something that you are inspired to do. You're going to find yourself doing this so much more. You're going to start to feel like you are on the right path when it comes to life. So that's definitely another thing that will happen now. Another thing that will happen after a spiritual awakening, you feel more connected. And what I mean by that, you just start to feel oneness with people, with nature, with the universe. You just really start to feel that sense of oneness, and you know that we are all interconnected in some kind of way. And you also know that you are a fractal of the universe, which is a piece of the universe is inside of you, which we all have that in us. Nature, animals, everything in this universe, people, has a piece of the universe in it. Now, another thing that you will go through after a spiritual awakening, you have heightened senses. It's like you can smell things better, you can hear, you can see, you can taste things. It's like your senses are very, very heightened. Now, that's very normal after a spiritual awakening. Now, another thing that will happen, people, is people start to become familiar. You'll start to see faces of people, and you don't know these people, but for some reason they seem so familiar to you. That's because your spirit, which is inside of you, your higher self, knows the other person's higher self, or you have already lived this life, you understand, and you knew this person in another life or in another multiverse. That's why people start to become more familiar. Now, another thing that will happen after a spiritual awakening, you become more grateful. It's like you're grateful for the air, you're grateful for everything, your health, you're grateful for the people that are around you, you're grateful for your family, you're most of all grateful for the universe, you're grateful that the law of attraction is working for you, you're grateful that you're able to manifest. It's just every day you find yourself saying, thank you, God, thank you, universe. Every single day you just become more grateful. Pay attention to that, people. Now, another thing that will happen after a spiritual awakening is everything starts to make sense. And what I mean by that, it's like you feel like your life is purpose. You feel like everything in your life happens for a reason, for a larger purpose. You start to know that everything makes sense in so many ways in different aspects in your life. So that is another thing that you will go through after a spiritual awakening. Now, another thing is you become one with nature. You become one with everything. You understand? You start to feel a piece of serenity. And when you walk outside, you're just like, oh, these are beautiful trees. The sky is beautiful. Oh, at nighttime, you'd be like, the stars are so beautiful. It's like you are just overwhelmed with the beautiness of nature. Now, that's definitely a strong sign that you went through a spiritual awakening. Now, another thing that you will go through when it comes to a spiritual awakening, you start to realize that you are in control and that you can't control everything, but you know that you are in control of your reality and everything that's in your life. You take responsibility for it. You take accountability for all your actions. You realize that every choice that you have made in your life led you to the point where you're at right now. So that is definitely a strong sign that you have gone through a spiritual awakening. Now, another sign that you have gone through a spiritual awakening, you start to get premonitions. And this can come through your dreams. This can come through your intuition. This can come from different signs that you see in certain places. This can come from songs that come on. You might be watching a movie or a TV show and you start to see these signs and different premonitions, and you know that it is relating to your life, your spiritual path, anything that you're manifesting or attracting. You start to get premonitions that this is definitely a sign for you from the universe. Now, another thing that you will go through after a spiritual awakening, you become more spiritual. You start to get into things like crystals. You start to really want to go down the spiritual path. You start gaining more knowledge on the spiritual journey. You start watching other people's journey because it relates to yours. You know, you're fascinated with everything when it comes to spirituality. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about reading the Bible, the Holy Quran, or anything like that, the Hebrew Bible. I am just basically talking about how you feel the connection to yourself, the stars, the sun, the universe, and you really want to seek more knowledge on that spiritual journey, and you definitely want to see other people's journey. You're very interested in that. Now, another thing that you will go through after a spiritual awakening, people, you emerge a better person. You start to shift and make better choices. You start to do things that are more healthy for you. You start to develop better habits. You start to recognize the different patterns in life, and you start to know that you can change any of these patterns and become a better version of yourself. As a matter of fact, you can close your eyes and you can visualize a different version of yourself, and you realize that you can become whatever version of yourself that you want to. So that is definitely another sign that you have gone through a spiritual awakening, people. Now, another thing that you will go through after a spiritual awakening, you'll start to question your beliefs. You start to realize that when it comes to your beliefs, they're not your beliefs. You start to realize that when it comes to beliefs, the beliefs that you have are limiting beliefs that are stopping you, that are hindering you from progressing in life. You start to realize that you can get rid of these limiting beliefs that you have and install new beliefs that are going to help you get further in life, that are going to lead you down the right path, that are going to get you to manifest anything that you desire. You are going to attract anything because you realize that by you changing your beliefs, you can do anything that you want to do in this world. That is definitely a strong sign that you have gone through a spiritual awakening, people. Now, another sign that you have gone through a spiritual awakening, you feel the need to meditate. You feel the need to just open up your third eye, your crown chakra, your throat chakra, your heart chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plex chakra, your root chakra. You feel the need to open all your 7 chakras. And when you meditate, you start to get visions. You start to see the tunnel. You start to see the eye. You astral travel to different places in the universe or different places on this planet. You start to really want to meditate so much, and not just meditating. You like to meditate with crystals. You like to meditate with different candles, different scents like sage. These are the type of things that you will. And also on top of that, you like to meditate to frequencies, because you realize that different frequencies affect us in different ways. So you are definitely have gone through or are going through a spiritual awakening, people. Now, another thing that will happen after a spiritual awakening, you start to see repeating numbers everywhere. You start to see 1111, That's that wake up number. That's mainly the first number that you will start seeing. Then you start seeing everything else. And then you really want to gain the knowledge of what these repeating numbers mean. You are reading books, you are watching videos on what 555 means, big changes. I mean, you are starting to see repeating numbers everywhere, on license plates, on the clock, just on buildings, on trucks. You're starting to see repeating numbers everywhere. No, you're not going crazy. This is what happens after your spiritual awakening. Now, a lot of people, they really truly look at these repeating numbers as coincidences. They don't really take the initiative to find out what they really mean, and they definitely don't feel like they're going through a spiritual awakening. But when it's time for you to go through that spiritual awakening, you have to answer that call from the universe. Lots of people don't. Lots of people do not answer that call. So that is definitely a strong sign that you have gone through a spiritual awakening. Now, another sign, people, that you have gone through or are going through a spiritual awakening, you start to live right now in this present moment. You realize that time is linear. You realize that time is man-made. And you start to realize that the past no longer exists. You start to realize that there are an infinite amount of futures, and you can reside. You can become any person that you want to become. You realize that when it comes to time, there is no such thing, and you find yourself making all your success moves, all your spiritual moves right now in this present moment. You are living so much in this present moment. And even when you meditate, you realize that you are meditating in this present moment. When you are manifesting in this present moment. When you are attracting, it's right in this present moment. So that is definitely a strong sign that you have gone through or are going through a spiritual awakening. You are living in the present moment. Now, another sign that you have gone through or are going through a spiritual awakening, you start to seek knowledge. You find yourself watching videos every day, all day, one after another, about spirituality, about the universe, about synchronicities, about everything when it comes to spirituality. You find yourself watching videos on numerology, astrology. You find yourself being interested in tarot cards. All of these type of things you are seeking knowledge on. Now, when it comes to seeking knowledge, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself, because there is so much knowledge out there. But at the end of the day, knowledge is the key. So just try to learn one thing at a time. Like if you're focused on numerology, find out what the numbers mean and what their vibrational meaning is. Now, it's very important when you are seeking this knowledge, people, to soak it in like a sponge, because it's going to change you and it is going to help you on your spiritual journey, people. Now, another thing that will happen after your spiritual awakening, people, you start to live with purpose. You start to do things that you really, really love to do. You no longer want to just do things just that doesn't have any purpose to them. You know, you find yourself just doing what you want to do, and you don't care what anybody else says about it, because when you're living with purpose, you know that this is going to benefit you down the road. You understand? And a lot of the times when it comes to living with purpose, this is going to include your passion, something that you're very, very passionate about. Like you may have been thinking a long time ago about writing a book or something like that, right? Now you find yourself actually taking the initiative and writing that book. It's starting to rain. See that? That's why I'm making this car video, because I don't want to get all rained on. You understand? Even though I love the rain, I love nature, but just not right now. It's kind of cold in Chicago, but like I said, you find yourself living with purpose. You find yourself doing things that you have always been passionate about. Because when it comes to your purpose, you're not going to find your purpose. Your purpose is going to find you. And a lot of the times when it comes to your purpose finding you, this is going to come through something that you are passionate about. So pay close attention to that, people. You have gone through, or you are going through, a spiritual awakening. Now, when it comes to a spiritual awakening, if you're going through one, you will start to seek to service. And what I mean by that is you want to do something that services people. You want to help people. You want to help nature. You want to service animals. You want to do things that are raising the frequency and the vibration on this planet that is going to uplift and inspire and motivate everybody around you. You want to service everybody in a positive way. Now, that is definitely a strong sign that you have gone through or are going through a spiritual awakening. Now, this one right here, people, when after you have gone through a spiritual awakening or are going through one, you are going to feel alone. And you have to understand, everybody does not go through a spiritual awakening at the same time. So let's just say the circle of friends you have, you're truly not going to be able to have a normal conversation with them pertaining to your spiritual awakening or anything about the universe. You're not going to be able to talk to people about repeating numbers. You're not going to be able to talk to people about nothing, anything, signs from the universe, because when it comes to your spiritual awakening, you have to walk that path alone. You have to this is what they call isolation. When God, the universe, isolates you, this is the time that you are going to be alone. So it's time for you to just seek knowledge, get to know thyself, get to know yourself a lot better, meditate, and watch like-minded people on YouTube that are going to help you. And you could consider these people as mentors. It's very important when you're going through this alone stage, find people that resonate with you. You understand? And stick to it, and you will make it through this stage of your spiritual awakening. Now, another thing that will happen right after your spiritual awakening, people, or if you're going through one, you will start to have very, very vivid dreams, lucid dreams. You'll start to have dreams that you can actually control all the way through. You can have whatever conversations that you want to have, and they're so vivid that they leave a mental imprint in your mind's eye. And when you wake up, you can always visualize different scenes in your dreams. See, before you had your spiritual awakening, some of the times you didn't even know if you had a dream or not. You didn't remember. But now it's like, since your spiritual awakening, you are like remembering so many different things in your dream, and it's fascinating with you. And sometimes you might go to sleep and continue on with the dream that you were having the night before or the week before, and you remember that this was the same dream. You understand? You see the same people. It's just like, it's really, really trippy. So that is definitely a sign that you have gone through a spiritual awakening. Now, another sign that you have gone through or you are going through a spiritual awakening, you feel the connection to your higher self and your intuition. And you are at the point right now where you're hearing these voices in your head, you're getting these mental images, and you know that this is a part of you, something that you didn't know before, that you didn't really trust the voice in your head. You didn't trust it as much, but now you're trusting your intuition. You're connected to your higher self, and you know that your higher self can see any infinite amount of different things that can happen in your life based on the decisions that you make. You're very aware of this. You are expanding your awareness. You're expanding your consciousness on a day-to-day basis. Yes, you have gone through or you are going through a spiritual awakening. Now, I went through my spiritual awakening, people, in 2019. I started seeing all of these repeating numbers everywhere. I felt like I was going crazy. That's why I say you're not going crazy. This is definitely a sign for you to wake up. And 1111 was the number that I started seeing every day on the clock. And I was like, this is really weird. This is trippy. You understand? But I knew it was something special. My intuition, my higher self let me know that this is something different. This is something that you never experienced in your life. So it definitely led me down the path of meditating. It led me down the path of wanting to seek knowledge on a spiritual awakening, the universe, synchronicities, signs, the connection to nature, and all of those things. So most definitely, if you have gone through any of these signs that I told you in this video, people, you are definitely going through or have gone through a spiritual awakening. Embrace it. Embrace it with open arms. Embrace it, baby. Love it. Because if you have gone through or are going through a spiritual awakening, you are a chosen one. Remember that, people. Lots of people don't go through this. Now, I definitely wanted to deliver a positive, powerful message for you. I definitely hope it resonated with you. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Don't forget to comment below and let me know if one of these signs resonated with you and what you are going through right now or have gone through when it comes to your spiritual awakening. Now, thank you so much for tuning into Millionaire Mindset, where everything happens in divine time by divine design, people. Till the next video, I truly, truly appreciate your support. I love you. Peace.